Blue Lock's 5th episode has finally aired, and so much has been revealed. The U20 game is right around the corner, a new trailer for the game dropped as well, and the big question, did the animation improve for the U20 match? I'm giving you everything you need to know about this new trailer and episode, from the best and worst moments of episode 5, talking about the animation, what the community thinks of this new episode and trailer we got. Everything has been answered, so let's get into it. Right off the bat, episode 5 was a pretty hype episode. The whole episode didn't have any game playing, instead building up to the U20 match. They revealed the Blue Lock starting 11, and I will say they 100% delivered on this. Blue Lock, even season 2, has done well building up or hyping up moments. The starting 11 reveal was really good. This is obviously the starting team that's playing against the Japan U20, and we get our first glimpses of them in the anime alongside Itoshi Sai. It was super cool seeing the core U20 members animated for the first time. I think the voice acting here was really good. OSTs were absolutely fire. We got like 3 new OSTs. I think there was a new one for the starting 11 announcement, and then one for Sendo and the U20 reveal, and then of course for the defenders like Aiku, and finally one for the flow state explanation, so literally 4 new OSTs. It was actually a symphony for your ears. They always deliver with OSTs in my opinion. I would say that's the second best thing about this episode. OSTs were really good. But the best thing about this episode is of course the build-up and hype that we got. So many things were revealed, from the starting 11 being chosen, to Sai choosing Shido, and then the U20 Japan cast. It's literally the calm before the storm, and 100% the best part of this episode. You can feel the hype being built up, with Ego making his speech, Isagi and Rin preparing for the game. There was just so many highlights in this episode that makes it enjoyable. This kind of reminded me of episode 1, with everything being built up for the 3rd selection. Like I said, they do really good at building up hype. Do they deliver on it though? Not really, but it still gets you hype. That's the thing though, even though there was a lot of positives from this episode, there was no actual game playing. So I've seen a lot of people talk about how the animation is still going to be bad, even though these episodes are building up hype. They're talking about how it's literally like the first episode, where it brought up our expectations with fancy lighting and good still frames, where there isn't any movement. The animation looks good. But when it comes to the actual soccer playing, the animation turns into PNGs, and it'll be the exact same case for the U20 match. Those are kind of the two opinions. End of the day, everyone's been waiting, and there's still hopeful people on one side believing that the animation will be better for the U20 match, and then this side where they think the animation will still be the same PNGs. However, now that we finally got the trailer, we will know whether the animation is good or not for the U20 match, but we'll discuss that towards the end. We first have to talk about what the community thinks of the newest episode. We already talked about the best part of this episode, so now we have to talk about the worst part of this episode, which has been the talk of the town, because even though we got a lot of new characters revealed, for some reason a lot of people have been saying that the character models look off. There was a few odd scenes. For example, some of the faces were really distorted from the look in the manga. Sendo was a really wild one. Shido has always looked different in every single frame, and especially in this episode. I think manga readers who watched the new episode immediately noticed this. The biggest difference was Aiku in my opinion. If we do a little comparison, you can kind of see the difference between the two. So character models have been the talk of the town. In my opinion, it's not too big of a deal, especially because he looks good and every other time we see him. It did just take people off guard. Animation wise as well, it's still the same PNGs with semi-fake movement. Like the opening sequence had a Rin goal, but it was just a soccer ball moving, as well as the Shido fighting scene, there was no animation. Him pushing down Sendo was just an effect. Shido escaping Sendo, this was just PNGs moving. You get the point. I think the thing is, it seems very choppy because they're not animating the movements. For example, Shido falling down or him actually jumping up, it's either cuts to a completely new frame where the action already happened, or just the PNG is just moving. Since it is just the fight scene, we could really care less. It's not the actual U20 match, but for people who are wondering about the animation, yes, it's still there. I always say this though, you can still enjoy watching the anime. It is a big elephant in the room. The animation might not be the best, but as long as you personally enjoy it, then that's what matters. And from what I've seen, a lot of people did end up enjoying this most recent episode. Personally, since it was like episode 1, the hype being built up is something that I always enjoy. And there were a lot of things to be excited for from this episode, like the new character reveals, starting 11 lineup, and the flow state being revealed. Everyone is really holding their opinions until the U20 comes out, but with episode 5 releasing, we actually got our first sneak peek at the U20 game itself. Ever since the start, they've shown no footage of it, but with episode 5 dropping, they also dropped a new trailer. This is actually the first of the U20 we're seeing. In total, there was 3 trailers or teasers that were dropped. One of them was for the starting 11 for Blue Lock. Basically a whole recap, you didn't need to watch it. Trailer 2 though was the actual important one, showcasing some of the U20 match and its moments. The trailer was the starting 11 for the Japan U20 squad. Let's not beat around the bushes though. From what we've seen in this trailer, we gotta answer the big question: is the animation for the U20 gonna improve? This is what people have been waiting for. I saw a lot of people still hold on to hope that they are saving the budget for the U20 match since it is the main game, not showing any of it until now because they didn't want to spoil it. But from what we've seen in the trailer, the U20 match still has the PNG animations. Almost everything showcased in trailer 2 was a PNG. The U20 goalkeeper blocking a shot was a PNG. We see a Blue Lock character kicking the ball. That was also a PNG. And they're still faking movement, shaking the camera around and then adding speed lines. We saw this all throughout the 3rd selection as well, so no improvements there. Even regular movement was still PNGs or choppy animations, so there was actually no improvement from what we've seen or what people have been talking about this whole time. The community reaction about this was completely different from episode 5. People who held on to hope that they saved the budget for the U20 match have kind of given up at this point. I've seen even the Japanese fan base talk about it. And it kind of concerns everyone because the only things we've seen from this match so far is that trailer, and it was the exact same bad animation. I talked about it in my last video, but the bad animation makes sense considering the conditions they were in. I highly recommend checking out that video if you want to find out what actually happened to the animation, but to give you a small summary on what happened, the animators really got messed up. Low pay, rush deadlines, and even some of the animations they made were cut out of the show and replaced with the PNGs so they can meet deadlines. On top of that, production committees doing everything for money. It's a really bad situation, so of course the final product is gonna come out like this. So in terms of animation, we now have evidence to prove it hasn't improved. So no, they didn't save the budget, and no, they didn't spend more time on the U20 match. And that really sucks because the U20 match is one of the best arcs in sports manga history and the most exciting part of the season. So with the only glimpse of it being that so far, it's not looking too bright. The last thing is of course the final trailer before the U20. This is trailer number 3, which also had some U20 match scenes. Granted, it was only about 3 seconds of U20 footage, but it was just them preparing for the actual game. This was pretty hype because it's them about to walk out to the main stage. The plot and storytelling is still really good, so of course the hype for the match is gonna be there, but it's just Isagi stretching and Rin walking, so there isn't much to analyze here like the last trailer. Anyways, that about wraps it up for everything we got. The new episode, the new trailers, everyone's reactions to it. The U20 is next week, so I'll see you then to give you everything you need to know about it.